Hi friends, it's Terry Gaines. In this video, I'm going to give you all the details to create a fence easel fun fold card. For this card, it has a beautiful fence on the front that you open up. You have another panel you can add a sentiment to. And this panel has the easel stopper. This is where you can have your inside sentiment and sign your card. And then the card will stand and display this beautiful fence and the decorative images on the table. The beauty of this card is you can change the color of the cardstock for the fence, the color for your cardstock base, and at the end of this video, after I share how to create the card, I have some additional samples to share with you. I shared a video a couple weeks ago on the Lattice easel fun fold card. So this one opens up differently, and in the comments section, I will have a direct link to this video and blog post. And the fence card is similar but different. I have different ways to assemble it. So let's talk about the materials you need to create this card. My goal is to give you everything you need so you can recreate this card using your product and share the product I use for my card. So we have the card base. I'm going to talk about that last. Let's talk about the fence panels. These are 5.5 by 1/2 inch, and we need 3 of these. And I'm using Pecan Pie. It's a new Stampin' Up color that will be in the new annual catalog, and you can use any color for your fence. The fence post, you need quantity 6. They are 1/2 inch by 2.5 inch. And what I did for all of mine to give this top on the end is I used the Banner's Pickup Punch. And what I like to do, you need to unlock it, and then it has this 1/2 inch spot where it'll slide right in on this section. Put that all the way in, but then do watch the back so you can visually see that it's straight. Punch that out, and I did that on all 6 of these to get that decorative top on the top. The other option you have is to texturize these fence panels and the post. I use the Timber 3D folder, and I placed all of them in the folder, just line them up, including the 6 here. I have 3 on this side, 3 on this side. I straightened them, I closed it, and I ran it through my die cutting machine to texturize those. And I have all of those texturized with this wood grain texture on it. So you have the option to do that. The next measurements we have are Decorative Panels quantity 2. These are 5.5 inches by 4. You need 2 of these. I would suggest one of them to be the same color as your card base. And you have, I call these decorative because these could be designer series paper, they could be stamped cardstock, they can be texturized cardstock. I texturized mine with the Painted Texture 3D folder, and you just place, just like the fence pieces, you just place one in here and close that and run it through your machine to texturize that, and that adds a nice texture to your card. Then we need decorative images and an easel stopper. The easel stopper can be a variety of different things. I'll share that with you when we get to that portion. What I'm using for my decorative part on the card I'm showing you how to assemble, is the Dainty Delights dies. And some of the samples I have, I've used the stamped images where I stamped and die cut those out and colored them in. For this sample, I'm going to show this die. I'm going to give you a tip how to straighten out that curved die so you can get it a little bit straighter. And then I'm going to use these 2. I've got those flowers cut out of Daffodil Delight, and then I'm going to use the inside pieces. I've used Early Espresso for those. And what I did for those is I used the adhesive sheets. The adhesive sheets are in our annual catalog. You get 12 of them. They're 6 inches by 12, and I cut mine down to the size of cardstock I'm going to work with. There's a backing you peel off. Then you put that on your cardstock. You flip that over in your die cuts this way. That way you have adhesive behind those little pieces. So I've got that prep work done. One more last thing I want to show that I'm going to be using when we decorate the card is this die. This die is a sneak peek of a new product. It is part of the beautiful balloons bundle that is in the new annual catalog that will be out May 2nd. It is a die that if you place it right in the middle of your cardstock, you're going to get all these slits where you could actually weave something between them. Or if you cut it after you die cut it or put it on the edge, you're going to get this fringe look. We're going to use that for grass on our decorative images. So that's all the pieces I used to decorate this card. And my other cards, I have different things that I decorated with. So let's talk about our card base. We're going to go back to the top of the list. This is 11 by 5.5 in size. There's all these score lines to help. If you're visual like I am, I created a graphics that's easier to follow along to create those score lines. So what this would be is, I'm going to just set this here. This would be scoring along the 11-inch at 2 3/4, then at 7, then at 7 3/4, then at 8 1/4. So I've got those score lines going in this direction. Then I say rotate, then score at, you're going to rotate like that. Then you're going to score at 1/2, all of these down to the 7-inch. So from the 11-inch side of the cardstock to the 7-inch. And you don't have to go right to that score line or right on top of it. You can go like right almost to it. Don't go into this panel. Don't score into that panel. You can stop short of the score line here. So this is actually our alignment for putting the fence post on. So we have 1/2, we have 1 inch, 2.5, 3 inches, 4.5 inches, and at 5. So those are the score lines, and it's hard to see this in the camera, so I'm going to bring a different one in to share with that. But before I bring that one in, I want to show you that you can texturize this top panel of your card. And if you want to do that, I would do that right now. And if you're assembling this card or creating this card as we go along here, the beauty of the video is you can pause and hit rewind anytime you need to understand the instructions for this card. So what I did before I went any further is I lined my score line of this panel A to the decorative edge inside this folder and ran it through my machine this direction so I could texturize just this panel here. It just adds a little bit, and I love that painted texture folder. So I have this on mine, but I also, for ease of showing you how I'm assembling it and visually seeing it on the camera, I took a thin marker and I lined up all those score lines so you can visually see how this card gets assembled. We're done with this. We're actually not done with it. I'm just going to set it aside. The Simply Scoring tool is going to come in handy for alignment for assembling this card. We are done with this part though, so I'm going to set that aside. So now let's start the assembly. The first thing, oh goodness, we need this right away. So let's get to, I had these out because I used the stylish shaped banners or stylish shaped dies for some of my decorative images. So let's get to assembling the fence onto the card. I'm going to suggest that you have a silicone craft mat handy and your favorite double-sided adhesive tape, and then the Simply Scoring tool. That's going to come in handy for our alignment of this card. So what we want to do is take the fence post, and we're going to work with 3 at a time. And then we're going to separate the fence panels. And I'm just going to put all 6 of these on my silicone craft mat. Okay, so let's get back to the assembly. The first thing we want to do is put the top panel on for the fence. And that top panel actually is going to be attached right to this panel A of our card base. So I'm going to use the Simply Scoring as my guide to do that. I'm going to turn this over like this, and I'm going to put adhesive on the back of this panel, and the silicone craft mat works great. So I'm just going to put a long strip of adhesive right across that panel, And then I'm going to tuck this card base up into the corner, and that's going to allow me, and hold on to it. You don't want to let go, it will slide away. I'm going to put this piece up to the corner also, and then bring my adhesive down to meet. And then I got a little extra right there. You can take that to the paper cutter and trim it, but for video purposes, I'm going to continue. We always want to try to get all of our pieces the same length. So that's the first part of the top panel of the fence. Now we're going to turn this over like this, and we're going to put 3 of the fence posts on the back of this panel. So to do that, I'm going to turn this direction, and I'm going to put adhesive on 3 of these fence posts. And I'm using the Stampin' Seal. You can use your favorite adhesive to do this. Now I'm going to take one of these and just make sure we've got the card upside down. This is actually the bottom edge of it. I'm going to take the bottom edge of this fence post with adhesive side up. I'm going to put it between these 2 score lines, line it up to that edge, and then bring this down to pick up that adhesive. So adhesive side up is very important. Then I'm going to do the same for the middle one. I'm going to hold this between the 2 score lines. And it gets tricky because you have adhesive on those fence posts, and your fingers will stick to that. So this last one I'm going to put on this side, and I'm going to put that all the way, put all of that, and then we have those 3 fence posts attached. So we have the back fence post attached. Now what we can do is keep it in this direction, put this all the way to the corner, use that corner edge for alignment again. Adhesive is already on those fence posts, so all we need to do is bring this piece and bring it down into the corner here, line that up, and get that to adhere. Now we have the top one and the bottom one. For the center one, we have the score lines to help us. So what we can do is just take this, adhesive is on the fence post already, place this right between those score lines, and now we have the fence panels on and the back post. These additional 3 are the front to help secure the fence panels and also to cover up that exposed adhesive that we have on those back fence posts. So I'm going to apply adhesive on all 3 of these at the same time here, because I can just leave them on my craft mat. And now I'm going to turn this again, so this is up against the wall here. Push that all the way up. And now my goal is just to cover up that fence post in the back. That's what I'm using for my alignment. And that way I cover up that exposed adhesive and secure the fence panels into place. And here we go. Now we have our fence attached to our card. So now we have our fence attached, and now our goal is to cover up our score lines, and that's what these decorative panels are for. So what I'm going to do is cover up this one first. I'm actually using the basic white for both of these. So I'm going to cover this one up first, and how I'm going to do that, for ease of making sure I'm doing everything where I need to, I'm just laying it on here, placing it to the corner. Now I'm going to put adhesive on the back side of this. The painted texture folder is beautiful on both sides, so it's really hard to know which side would be front or back, and you are not going to go wrong with either side. So now by holding this into the corner and getting that corner all aligned, not letting it go. Goodness, my videos are unedited. They do contain bloopers, so I apologize for that. So now we're going to put this up to the wall, put that up to that wall, and let this fall into place. And if I have everything pushed in the corner, I've got a nice alignment on that corner. Now what we're going to do is just flip this over like this and do the same for this side. This is the panel that you want to be the very same size as your card base because it's not going to cover up this score fold right here. We don't want to cover that up because we need to make sure the card closes correctly. So I would advise this to be the same color because then that little gap in there will just camouflage and it won't be obvious that you have a little white strip or whatever color your card base is. Now the next thing to do is just make sure that this closes. And if you have a little bit of a crinkle doing that, just use your bone folder to crease that. And now we have the base of the card and we need to put a stopper on here. Before I put the stopper on, I'm going to talk actually what I'm going to do. This could be our stopper, and I would put this on with dimensionals and that would stop the card, and you would put it back a little bit. You kind of have a lot more card base to work with, so you're really free to kind of put this however you want that angle to be on your card for standing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the grass to decorate the card, and I'm going to use it to be a stopper. So I have taken 2 granny apple greens. They're 5.5 by 1 3/4, and I die cut this die right in the middle of both of those. Now what I'm going to do is take a scissors and just cut one of them right in half. And then you can take a bone folder, but since I already have the scissors in my hand, I'm just going to take and ruffle those up a little bit. I'm going to kind of just add some texture, bend them, kind of add some texture to that instead of leaving them like this. So these two are going to be decorating the different panels on the card. And then this one is going to actually be the stopper. What I'm going to do is cut this one closer so my grass is longer, and I'm gonna, like I said, you can take a bone folder or you can take a scissors and just add some different texture to that, just to crinkle that up a little bit. Now I'm going to use this as a stopper, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to put my adhesive on this back panel I have right here. And then I'm going to turn this direction. My stopper needs to be on this panel right here. I'm going to place that in the corner, and then I'm going to put this in the corner. Now, when I open up this card, the grass is the stopper on this card. And as I mentioned, I have other samples to share with you. So let's decorate these 2 pieces. I'm going to put one of these on the inside panel. So I'm going to turn it like this. And this is where the fold is. We don't want to cover up because this card has to close. So don't put this right up to your decorative panel. Leave a little bit of a gap so you have some space there for your fold to happen on your card. And as I mentioned, if this is the same color as this, that little gap is camouflage. Nobody can really tell that. So that's a decorative piece behind when it's open. And then also I want a decorative piece when the card is closed. So we're going to add this piece right here. So for this one, you're going to rotate the card like this, put it in the corner, and I'm going to put my adhesive right on here. Push this into the corner, don't let go of it, and then place this along that edge in the corner. And now you have that decorative piece. When you close the card, you can see some fence through that side. So now we can decorate the card. Isn't that fun? So I'm excited for everybody to be able to get this new bundle, and especially for that die there. So let's decorate our card. We have this piece and we have all of these. Before I go any further, I just want to talk about a couple things for everybody to know. When you put decorations on the inside of the card, keep in mind that if you can visually see, you see through this panel right here. So anything you add to it has to be here and above. Otherwise, it's visually shown on your or through the fence. So I'm just going to set that here, and I'm going to put this thank you right in here. I'm going to decorate the inside of the cards first. We're going to put this thank you right here, and then I'm going to take one of these flowers. I've already attached the center to the flower, and I'm going to use a mini glue dot. I like bringing my project to the mini glue dot and then picking that up. And we're going to add a little decorative piece right here. And then I have these already on a mini glue dot, so we can put another one right here. So that's going to be that panel decorated. So when they open up the card, they see that. And then when we open up this, we have little fibers here. We're going to put this piece here. Now we also have to keep in mind we have a void area for this one too, because if this easel is standing like this and someone's looking through it, they can actually see through here. So I would advise you to do the same, that your decorative image or your stamped sentiment is towards the top of this panel. And I'm going to add this right here, so it's not visually shown through the fence. So those are the inside, how I'm going to decorate it. Now we can talk about the outside. This die has this nice curve to it, which works great for many projects. But for this project, I want this to go straighter before it curves. So what I did was I snipped with my paper snips right here. That's going to allow me to straighten up that vine to go higher than I want it to go. The other thing when you make these types of cards is that we need to make sure all of our adhesive stays on the fence post and doesn't have any exposed adhesive in these openings. So what I'm going to do is bring in these mini dimensionals, and I have a partial sheet here that I've used quite a bit. What I'm going to do is hold this down, and right in the area where I have sectioned that piece, right below, let me rephrase that, right where I've cut it right here, right below that, I'm going to put a dimensional. That dimensional is going to hold have two purposes. It is going to secure the flower in place, and it's going to secure the greenery in place. So what I'm going to do is that's how I'm going to attach this greenery. It just every so often. So I did make a mistake, but I'm going to keep going on this. So I have a dimensional here, I have one here, and my mistake is I'm putting these in the wrong spot. What I wanted to do is only put 3 of these on. So I'm not going to put one on right here, and I'll show you that in a moment. So the reason I'm not putting one on there is I'm going to put this flower on that already has the mini glue dot behind it. So now what I can do is take the backing off, and I can put this little flower right on top of that dimensional. So those 3 dimensionals are holding the greenery down along with attaching the flower. And let me get this last one here. Now these 2 are going to be attached with a mini glue dot, but they're going to do the very same thing. They are going to not only hold the flower on, but they're going to secure that greenery in place. And with those 3 dimensionals, they're really strong. Those will be sufficient for adhesive to hold that down. So that is how I decorated the card, and then you can add some butterflies to this card. And here you can see I use smoky slate, and this one has the pecan pie. So I hope you enjoyed this fun fold. I do have some additional samples to share with you. Let me grab those. And I had fun with the Dainty Delight stamp set. So this one is very much the same. I kind of did it a little bit different here. So this banner is a little bit bigger to sign the card. So we have that. And just more detail than you probably need to know. All my prototypes, I cut the cardstock 10.5 inches, thinking that this easel panel shouldn't be too long, but that made some restrictions here. So I increased the dimension so it covers up anything that you would put on this panel when they first opened the card. I didn't like how that looked. So more details, but these next ones are all my prototype size panels. So I showed the Highland Heather one earlier. I have another one with Pool Party, and I just changed up the colors of these flowers. And this one has thank you for the stopper. I use very much the same products for all of these. And this one I use Daffodil Delight and Texturize that. So such fun cards to make. This last one, I think everyone's going to love. It is using the On the Farm stamp set and dies in the Go-To Greetings. I also use the Into the Clouds banner. This is retiring. At the time I created these samples and doing this video, this folder is still available at a reduced price. That's what I did on this top piece. And then I took a sponge dauber and I added some balmy blue ink to fill in that color. This is from the Go-To Greetings. This is Pecan Pie for the Fence. Now, the Designer Series paper is no longer available, but the dies that I cut out the paper with are, and the stamp set is. The dies have a good value on them right now, discounted. So you could stamp and color in these farm animals, very similar to what I did for using the Designer Series paper. So I have some farm animals on this side. You can see when you open up this panel, you can see those farm animals through that panel. I have a banner here with one of the sentiments from that stamp set. And you open it up here, we have some more farm animals and a message from all of us. And then I use the grass for the stopper. These are so fun to create. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you are excited to make these. I have a free PDF you can download on my blog, and I appreciate anybody who's subscribing, liking, or commenting because of my free videos. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Take care and happy creating.